Hey folks, I want to continue to look at some verses in First Corinthians with you. Yesterday we talked about sexual immorality at the end of chapter 6. And today we're going to move into chapter 7 where Paul discusses marriage. And he starts out with a warning. Um, and if you look at verses 1 and 2 in chapter 7, he says, "Now concerning the matters about which you wrote, it is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman. But because of the temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife, and each woman her own husband." Now, I'm, what he's saying is not what he's not saying that one can glorify God better as a single person than as a married person. What he's saying is if you get married, you should know you're gonna have trouble. You're gonna have problems. Um, it's gonna be difficult. And as as a married person, you have duties to your spouse. You have to put her needs before your own, or you have to put his needs before your own. Your spouse comes before you. Marriage is a selfless union. It is all about your partner, your spouse. Um, and he echoes this a few verses down in the same chapter, verses 8 and 9. He says, "To the unmarried and to the widows I say that it is good for them to remain single as I am. But if they cannot exercise self-control, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion." So he's saying if you struggle with sexual immorality, lust, whatever it may be, if you can't control that, it is better to get married so that you can express your sexuality in a way that glorifies God and in a way that God intended it to be. But it is worth noting that twice here at the beginning of the chapter, he gives the warning that that it is better for you in your life if you can remain single. And like I said, you ask any couple that has been married for any length of time, and they would tell you it's difficult. It takes work. There are problems. You have art. You have disagreements, um, and I saw a meme once by Vadi Bachman, a quote from him that said, marriage, it's not happily ever after, is what you see in the movies a lot. It's really a series of forgiving one another over and over and reconciling after you've had a disagreement or argument. And marriage, it just takes work. It's hard. And like I said, it's not about you anymore. You put your spouse first. You think of them. Obviously, you put God first, but you no longer live for yourself. You have to think of the needs of your spouse. So marriage is difficult, and Paul is giving the warning here. Um, but definitely, if you struggle with sexual immorality, if you cannot control your desires and your passions, then you need to try to find a spouse where those things can be let loose in a way that glorifies God. And in the next couple videos, we'll go into some more uh, uh, discussion about what marriage is and what the roles are of the husband and the wife. Um, and we'll talk about that more in the next couple videos. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and join and follow us on these platforms.